Blue light blockers, why you need them. I'm Dr. Joseph Baker from the Limerick Chiropractic Center, and welcome to this very brief conversation. We are not going to be diving deep into blue light blockers. We're not going to be diving deep into the anatomy, the physiology of how your eyes work, how your brain processes this information. But I wanted to give you that helicopter view, the things that you need to know in order to help you make better decisions about how to protect yourself and how to protect the ones that you love. So, for many individuals, they hear the word blue light and, well, their head starts spinning. They have no idea. And blue light, it happens to be a type of visible light that we get exposed to. It has a very short wavelength, but it has very, very high energy. Now, this is naturally occurring. It's naturally occurring, but it's also produced by LED. In other words, electronic devices. And I hate to say this, but in today's day and age, do we really get away from electronics? The answer is no. I don't care who you are. I don't care whether you're the 3-year-old getting pushed around in the grocery store by mom and dad who is being kept busy with a cell phone in hand or some type of an iPad device, or as kids in school are utilizing laptops and iPads in order to, get their books, take their notes, do their projects on, all the way up until us adults. We do business on these electronics. So I hate to say it, but we're constantly in contact with these. Even our grandparents are wired to electronics to one level or another because of not just entertainment, watching TV, but also staying connected with other family members via Facebook, via, all the electronic devices. So we recognize that this is something that we need to be aware of because blue light is very, very different from a digital source as opposed to natural sunlight. In fact, when we talk about blue light exposure from digital sources, it brings about very much a high concern. In fact, one of the really big risk factors for blue light from electronic devices happens to be the proximity that we have to the screen. Now, I want you to stop. I want you to think about, where do most people hold their electronics? Where do most people keep things in hand? Well, it's not that far away. The other thing that actually impacts the amount of effect that blue light has on us happens to be the cumulative impacts of using devices throughout the course of the day. Many of us, cell phone right by our bed. It's used as our alarm clock. We're listening to, some type of a podcast, some type of a, we're watching some type of a morning news show via that. When we get in our cars, many of us have, giant LED screens right beside us in the car, projecting information at us. As we get to work, we're looking at that computer screen on a regular basis. Take a break. We're catching up on Facebook. We're catching up on social media. As we go home, again, we're in front of the TV. We're watching this entertainment, or we're watching more social media. But regardless, there is a cumulative impact throughout the course of our day. And yes, length of time does matter. And if you have never looked at your screen time, maybe that's going to be one of your really big takeaways of this workshop this week, is monitoring those that screen time. As always, I'm always going to ask you to make sure that you're not only liking this video, but also leaving a comment below. That comment continues this conversation. In fact, we don't know when you leave that comment how it's going to impact others in their learning and in their experience. So ask questions in that comment section below. And then finally, share this information with others. Make sure that your friends and your family are getting exposed to this great information. Now, we said blue light was different. I'm not going to bore you with all of the physics behind this, but let's look at this. when we look at what blue light or what the light spectrum looks like in daylight, very, very different. You're going to notice in the LED screen, there is a spike in the relative energy when it comes to the blue light itself. The rest of the spectrum is represented much differently. In turn, well, listen, that blue light that's emitted by the electronic devices is going to have a much greater impact on us than any other wavelength that it actually emits. There is some benefits to natural blue light. I don't want to paint the picture that blue light is horrible. Blue light from technology, from LED, is not good. Blue light naturally, it promotes alertness. It boosts your memory and cognitive function. In fact, it elevates your mood. It will actually help to regulate your circadian rhythm. Now, you notice those four things, how important they are to most of us. The problem is that a little bit of knowledge isn't enough. Oftentimes, as we're stepping out into the sunlight in order to make sure that we're getting exposed to that natural blue light, well, we have to do the next thing, which is make sure that we're stepping out without our glasses on, making sure that we're not having our sunglasses on. Because as we're outside, we're oftentimes filtering out that really good blue light that's naturally being produced for us. We want to make sure that if in fact we're going to do this, we're going to get the most out of that engagement. So take your glasses off for a little bit. Enjoy nature without those on. Now, the risk of blue light, you're probably going to look at this list and start hitting those check boxes of, I got that, oh, I definitely have that. Things like eye strain, blurred vision, dry, irritated eyes. Are you having to put drops in your eyes on a regular basis? Not normal. Are you getting headaches when you're sitting in front of the computer screen? Sometimes it's from the ergonomics. Sometimes it's from the LED that's being emitted, that blue light that's being emitted by those electronics. Are you noticing the fact that you're having trouble sleeping or that you're waking up at night? Many individuals, they self-medicate in order to drive their body into a sleep mode, when in fact, it's because of all the electronics that they're coming in contact with prior to their bedtime. In fact, we do a whole workshop on setting yourself up for better sleep. I would encourage you to go and look at that on our YouTube channel. Reducing alertness. There's kids out there that are constantly on these electronics. They can't focus on things that are really important, like studying, like paying attention. And listen, I would love to say that this is the end of the list. This is just the beginning of the list of the risk that comes from getting exposed to blue light. And it's been demonstrated out that longer time, more blue light exposure is increasing the rates of things like dry eyes and blurred visions and headaches, sleep disturbances, and reduced productivity. These numbers are astounding. And the problem is that we don't realize the great impact it's having until we reduce our exposure, until we push away. Now, there's a lot of long-term risks that have already been documented. Over a period of time, these long-term exposures become cumulative in nature. In fact, our children happen to be more susceptible to the damage because they don't have the means to actually filter out much of this blue light that adults have an ability to reduce down. Listen, this is researched out. It's already been proven. It's not a debate. We realize if we're having that longer exposure, we're setting ourselves up for more damage. So how do we fix this? Well, number one, if in fact you have to use, electronic devices, let's do our part. make sure that you're putting a blue light filter on your screens. There are computer glasses. You have the opportunity with a lot of different apps to actually apply the blue light mode in order to reduce down some of that production, some of the exposure. And then there are technologies that are out there that allow you to have a low blue light technology with your purchase. So I would encourage you, buyer beware, research that information. Finally, use the 20-20-20 rule. Every 20 minutes, take a 20-second break. And when you do that, look at an object that's 20 feet away. This helps to stimulate the eye to function better. The eyes are not good at filtering out blue light. This has been described in research that's done by Dr. Ralph Chu through the Eye Safe Vision Health Advisory Board. I love the fact that, you know what, as we talk about these topics, as we look at this, we don't have to become experts in the field to understand the fact that we need to make better choices, not just for ourselves, but for our children to help protect them in the process. I ask you to make sure that you pause for just a moment, like this video. Leave me a comment on maybe one of the questions that was raised by this. Maybe it was your big takeaway of what you're going to do or how you're going to help your children get set up better. But finally, share the information. I'm Dr. Joseph Baker from the Limerick Chiropractic Center.